Hi there. So as you guys know, it's kind of my thing here on my YouTube channel to do art challenges. At this point, I've done a million of them. And it is also my thing to try out vintage and antique art supplies. And today, friends, worlds are going to collide because for the next week, I'm gonna challenge myself to use vintage and antique art supplies, all from different decades, some of which being almost 200 years old, and I'm gonna see what I can make. On a real note, this was a very expensive video to make. I think you guys are gonna be in shock by some of the stuff that I was actually able to find. I myself am still shocked I was able to find what I was able to find. So let's hop into the time machine and go to our first decade, the 1990s. Hey there, welcome to the 90s. Out of all the decades that we're gonna go through today, this one I was actually alive for. And when I think of the quintessential 90s art supply, you probably think I'm gonna say Crayola. But no, it's not gonna be Crayola because I consider Crayola to be more timeless than anything. So that's why I'm choosing to go with Rose Art crayons. Now, if you don't know anything about Rose Art, consider yourself lucky because they are one of the most hated art supply brands that ever existed. Even though the company doesn't sell art supplies anymore and they haven't for quite some time, you can still find people up to this very single day still complaining about how bad the art supply quality was. But quality aside, 90s Rose Art packaging went hard. In the 90s, Rose Art did collaborations with some of the most popular kid brands at the time. Brands like Hot Wheels, Barbie, and my personal favorite, Pokemon. So these crayons are almost a quarter of a century old and they are in perfect condition. I will be the first person to use these. You teach me and I'll teach you Pokemon. All right, so I actually have some crayons here and I'm gonna compare these Crayola crayons to the Rose Art ones to see if they were actually as bad as what we all said. These are honestly not that bad. I feel like if I was to like jumble these up, you wouldn't be able to really tell the difference. When you hear people talk about Rose Art crayons, they're usually like, these are the worst things that have happened since World War II. There is no darker curse on humanity than these crayons. These crayons took my very firstborn. These are truly a danger to society. We should ban these at all costs. These really aren't as bad as what I thought they were gonna be. In fact, to further prove my point, I'm gonna quickly draw a little something something and we'll see if I have any problems with them. Alright, so here is the drawing I did with the 1990s crayons. I think it turned out pretty well. I had no problems. And I gotta say, justice for Rose Art. So far, we're starting off strong. Hopefully this next art supply will be just as good as these. For this one, we're gonna have to go all the way back to the 70s. Hi there! Welcome to the 70s. This one is gonna be a little bit different than the other ones that you're gonna see today. Because in the 70s, it wasn't an art supply that was trendy, it was an art craft that was trendy. And if you were alive during the 70s, as soon as you see this, you're gonna know exactly what I'm talking about. This is an authentic 1970s string art kit. I love this packaging because it just screams 1970s. Everything down from the color, the design, even the model in the background, her hair and outfit is everything. Now, if you don't know how string art is made, you basically get a piece of wood, you hammer in a bunch of nails on the exact points of the outline, then you get your string, wrap it around the nails, and voila, string art. Somebody 46 years ago started this project and probably gave up halfway through thinking that it would never get done. But I'm telling you, 46 years later, today is the day that it's gonna get done. This should be pretty simple. All you have to do is tie it around. I can get it around the nail. Oh my god. And then I'm just going to wrap it around. Oh my god, it just came loose. Oh, that is so annoying. Easy, easy. No! No, it keeps slipping off! I'm done with the 70s already. It's time to go back to modern day. Okay, so I just finished and I gotta say that this is definitely a fail. The string kept breaking on me, and I think it's because it's old. As you guys saw earlier, I was having a really hard time like gripping the fabric to the nail. Some of the nails are kind of loose, so that also caused problems. And even though I only got this for like $5 on eBay, I'm gonna have to redo this because I need to give this justice. And because I didn't do the best job on this one, I'm gonna have to go extra hard for this next decade. So everybody get your shagadelic clothes on because we're going to the 1960s. Hey there, welcome to the 60s. And I just want to say, since I am in the 60s, George Harrison. Now, the art supply that you're about to see, it's one of those art supplies that puts time into perspective. When you see what this art supply is, you're gonna realize just how old it really is. And this is one of the very first acrylic paint sets made for artists. Acrylic paint was invented in the 1930s, and for 30 years it wasn't used for anything more than painting houses. It wasn't until the 1960s that artists started playing around with it, due to its super vibrant and opaque colors. And this paint is so old that it wasn't even called acrylic paint yet. It was called acrylic polymer plastic color, and on the packaging it shows all the ways that you can use this paint. Because it was so new at the time, people weren't familiar with how to use it. Alright, so let's open it up and see what colors we got. It comes with 8 colors, including the primaries, and some of these tubes, they look like they were hardly used at all. So these paints are about 60 years old. So let's see if some of these even still work. All right, so red. Yeah, that's not coming off. Red, not working. Black came right off. And it's completely dried out. Maybe the white? Yeah, white's not coming out either. I can feel the yellow in here. Like, there is yellow inside of this. Oh god, did you see that puff of smoke? Oh god, what am I doing? Oh my god, look how dried out it is. It's like clay, it's unspreadable. And just to give you an example, here is what modern day acrylic paint looks like. So yellow is out. Let's see about the brown. It's been so long, the pigment has separated from the acrylic polymer. Yeah, that is not gonna work. All right, blue, please come through. You are our last hope. Come on. Come on. Yeah, this one's completely dried out. In fact, it's so dried out, you can hear how crispy it is. So yeah, as much as I love the 60s, apparently the 60s doesn't love me. Even though the eBay listing said otherwise, all these paints are completely dried out, which is so frustrating because earlier I said, because I didn't do the best job on this one, I'm gonna have to go extra hard for this next decade. So that means I'm gonna have to go extra hard for the next decade, the 1950s. Wait, actually never mind. I'm not ready to leave the 1960s because I didn't get to meet George. Welcome, you are now in the 1950s. Now, for this decade, we have a big one. This is an original 1950s artist set. And just by the look of this, I'm gonna need to get my gloves. All right, so let's take a look at this set. Oh my god. It's covered in mold. Like mold everywhere on this set. So I don't want to be breathing this in a whole lot, so I'm going to try to get through this segment very quickly. This kit comes with colored pencils, a couple of pieces of paper, which this is so old that the paper has now turned brown. We have what was once poster paint, but now looks like a science experiment. Oh my god. They're all like that. These are absolutely destroyed. I don't think I'll be using these at all. And lastly, it comes with watercolor. And this is kind of cool because it's on a Lazy Susan, so you can like spin it around and access the paint that you need. That's kind of cool. Like they should make that again. Oh god, there's even more mold on the bottom. When will it stop? Now, when it comes to vintage art supplies, there's very few types of paint that can hold up really well to time. And watercolor is always one of those paints. These all still work like they're brand new. That's why I love watercolor, is because it holds up so well. All right, so now that you've seen the colors, after 2 fails in a row, I'm super eager to do some artwork. So here is the artwork. I'm glad that this time it actually worked. And I like this painting. It's kind of giving me like Superman Lois Lane vibes. And even though this kit was technically made for kids, I gotta give props to the opacity of this pigment. Watercolor made for kids today could never. The 50s art supply treated me really well, but I am most excited for the art supply for next decade. Get your victory rolls on, because we're going to the 1940s.
I'm overjoyed 'cause boy, she's my gal.
Hi there, welcome to the 1940s. And the answer is yes, it did take me almost 2 hours to get this hairstyle. I would have never made it. Now, unfortunately, during the 1940s, we had World War II. Certain materials in the United States were rationed or limited because they needed to go towards the wartime effort. Things like nylon stockings were not available because the nylon needed to be used for parachutes. Certain types of food were rationed because they needed to send it overseas to send to the troops. And of course, one of the biggest things that was rationed was metal. This art supply is pencils. So I have here some original authentic pencils from World War II. And as you can see, they're regular pencils, except for one thing, the ferrule. Because metal was heavily rationed during the 1940s, pencils during that time used plastic and paper to secure the rubber tips, unlike other pencils that use metal. So yeah, even though these pencils work the exact same as a regular number 2 pencil, what makes these special is the history. Okay, so here is the artwork, and the pencils worked great. They work literally just like modern day pencils. The only reason I'm able to tell that they're vintage is literally just the tip. For this next art supply, we're gonna have to go over 120 years back, because we're going to the 1900s. Hi there, welcome to the 1900s. And at this point, you're probably thinking, Ray, the Edwardians didn't have silver full eyeshadow all over their lids and a full beat of makeup, and you'd be right. In fact, during that time period, they wore hardly any makeup at all. But I am too insecure to go without makeup on the internet, so full face of modern day makeup it is. Now, for this time period, originally I wanted to go with one of the very first Crayolas ever made. But then I remembered 2 things. The first one is that I did an entire video on that already. And the second thing is that I couldn't find any first edition crayons, so I had to get a replica. And that is not good enough for my YouTube channel. So instead, I found some actual crayons from the early 1900s. And these crayons are from 1907, making these crayons 117 years old. The craziest thing about these crayons is not the fact that they're 117 years old, it's the fact that the famous Golden Gate Bridge in California had not been made yet. So these crayons depict a time before it was built, which is absolutely mind-blowing to think about. For the colors, we have orange, yellow, purple, black, red, and green. The pigment in these colors held up beautifully. All of which, except for the yellow. As you can see, it's kind of like a brownish color, and that's because the pigment that they had at the time isn't very stable. So over time, it fades from a bright yellow to a dark brown. And I think that's what's going on here. Now, for the artwork, I'm gonna have to do something very, very simple because I want to try to preserve these as much as I can. Alright, so here is the drawing. I tried to do the same style of art that they did, and I had to be so careful with this. The whole time I was under pressure, I was sweating, I just felt this immense fear that at some point I was gonna snap the crayon in half and ruin these crayons forever. So I decided to just keep it simple. So now this brings us to the grand finale. This last art supply is by far the most insane out of all of them. So let's get back into our time machine because we are going all the way back to the 1800s. This is one of those items that I am still shocked I was able to actually find. Whenever I saw the eBay listing, it was like heaven itself opened up its gates and welcomed me in. This item, unbelievably, is one of the first editions of Faber Castell colored pencils. Faber Castell, as in the Faber Castell, the maker of polychromos colored pencils, one of the most famous colored pencils that you can get. This is one of the very first editions of it. And it's not in the best condition. The box definitely has a lot of damage to it over the years. And if you look closely, you'll notice that it says A.W. Faber instead of Faber Castell. And that's because the company wasn't renamed Faber Castell until the year 1900. So these are at minimum 124 years old. Wait a second! There's been a major update. Not all of these pencils inside of this are from the original packaging. There's some random Prismacolors in here from the 60s. So I stand corrected. Half of the colors are from the 60s and the other half are original to the packaging. All right, so let's go ahead and test out these colored pencils slash Creta Lavis pencils. So we have the white, green, brown, the most beautiful blue I've ever seen, probably made with ultramarine, and lastly this light blue that's really difficult to use. And here's what they look like compared to modern day colored pencils. The modern day is much more vibrant and all around a better pencil, I would say. But yeah, these pencils are so freaking cool. So I'm gonna draw very delicate with these because these pencils are so rare. Ooh. Welcome back to modern day. So here is the final artwork, and this drawing concludes the 7-day drawing challenge. It's crazy to think that I went through almost 200 years of history in 7 days, and I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. And if you want to see more videos, you can click either one of these videos. And with that being said, guys, thank you so much again for watching. Happy drawing, and I'll see you guys next video. Bye.